and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got a debut on the channel for the constructor tesseralis and a puzzle called Multiple Signs. And this has a very unusual rule set. These yellow lines in the grid are such where adjacent digits on lines have to be multiples of one another, which I've not, well, maybe if I have seen it before, it's a very long time ago. But the testers who've tried this say this is an absolutely brilliant puzzle, which makes it fit into a week of the most extraordinary puzzles. I'm not sure we've ever had a sequence of days with the most extraordinary puzzles that we've had over the last few days on the channel. It has been quite exceptional. And yeah, if you've got videos to catch up with on the channel, do try and make time to watch this week's videos. I don't think you'll regret them, or regret that time spent. Now, I have loads of news for you today, much of which is very exciting. I'm like a kid in a candy store, because last night actually, Mark and I went out to dinner in London, which I think is the first time I've been out to dinner in London since the pandemic. And I was coming home very late. I am feeling slightly delicate today when I received an email from Woofer ZFG, which had the most extraordinary attachment. So let me start with the story. About 4 years ago on the channel, I made a video about the hardest puzzle I've ever seen. It remains the hardest puzzle I've ever seen. It is one of the most beautiful puzzles I've ever seen, and those of you familiar with the Cracking the Cryptic canon will now know of which puzzle I speak. It is the puzzle called Adventure, which featured in the Galactic Puzzle Hunt back in 2018, if I remember rightly. A puzzle by Jon Schneider. And it is a work of extraordinary brilliance. And it took me a whole video back in those days to just explain the nature of the problem. I made a video about this puzzle because I thought it was so important. And what I wanted to do was to release a follow-up video explaining the solution. And that video was due from my great friend Neil Talbot, who did the lion's work of cracking Adventure during our solve of it during the 2018 Galactic Puzzle Hunt. Now, I'm still waiting for that video from Neil, but Woofer ZFG has meant that has made it so that I don't need to wait any longer. He has made that video, a video explaining how to solve Adventure. And it's brilliant. The graphics in it are brilliant. It only takes him 10 minutes to do it, which is absolutely staggering. So we're going to be able to release that video in the next 2 or 3 days on the channel for you guys to check out. Now, I mean, this is fabulous. Thank you so much, Woofer ZFG, and I commend it to you all. If you have not had a chance to look at the puzzle Adventure, it's still available online. I'll try and remember to put a link under the video to that. I'll try and remember to put a link in the video to my video explaining Adventure, because I know loads of you who are not familiar with it will find that interesting. And yeah, I cannot wait to see the comments on this video. It's going to be really cool. Now, what next? Well, we have another bonus video coming up where Mark solves a puzzle by Dean Mayer. Now, Dean Mayer is one of my very favourite crossword constructors, and I tested this puzzle yesterday, and I was so blown away with it. I tweeted one of the clues, and let me share that with you here. Here we go. So the clue is Lane in the Heart of Kent, 4 letters, and even if you have no experience of solving cryptic crossword clues at all, you have a chance of solving that. And I was quite amused because I relayed it to the guys I played golf with yesterday, none of whom could solve it. Twitter wouldn't let me actually complete the story here. I gave my friends the first letters, I gave them the last letter, I even gave them the third letter, and they still couldn't solve it. But they did agree, once they were told the answer, that it was a very fair and funny and cool clue. So definitely, look forward to Mark's video. But clues of that quality give you an idea of how skilled Dean Mayer is at making cryptic crosswords. So that's something to look forward to. Now, next on the agenda is a bonus puzzle for our patrons on Patreon. Well, actually, what we're going to do is, if you finish this puzzle, the multiple signs puzzle, check out a link under the video to a puzzle by Sam Cavnar-Johnson, which is a classic Sudoku. And this classic Sudoku is Sudoku, classic Sudoku, is really rather an interesting one. So Mark has had a crack at it using Mark's methods, shall we say. I will tell you that there is absolutely a way to solve it without using Mark's bifurcatory methods. The video on Patreon shows you Mark's effort and also explains, I get to explain how to actually crack it. So something that's a bit of a bonus there. It's a very clever puzzle indeed, and I love puzzles like it because they sort of, they show that bifurcation isn't always the answer. So that's going to be available for our patrons very soon. Next, I need to thank Jan van Lonen for his picture from the town of Lucca in Italy, where he discovered a bobbin shop. Now, this is magnificent, and he's quite right. This is really where we should be selling our merchandise. Unfortunately, we don't sell our merchandise from the bobbin shop, and that is a pity. But anyway, there is a shop called Bobbins, which tickled us pink. And the only other thing I need to mention, I think, is I need to say congratulations to more of you who have managed to get through the Paint by Numbers Institute Doctoral Challenge over on Patreon. So very well done. To the following: Adam Jaziri, Frank Levison, to Rachel Nordgren, Andrew Spicer, Thomas Cooperthwaite, Mike Daniels, Mario Buto, Mark Dick, who's also known as Mad Baker over on Discord, I think, Scott Nakamura, Jürgen Wokenfuss, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Jürgen, Kimberly Brackney as well. And Kimberly asked me to shout out her twin sister Kate. I think it's Kate Sinnett, who's still going on the base puzzle pack over on Patreon. No, you'll do it, Kate. Just keep cracking away, and I guarantee you'll get through it. These are the ways that that everybody learns on Cracking the Cryptic. Wade into the puzzles, charge your brain at them, and eventually they will tumble. So that's everything I've got to tell you. 7 minutes of info. I hope you don't mind me taking the time. I think there's enough bonus stuff for puzzle nerds like us that it's worth sharing. And let's read the rules of multiple signs by Tesseralis and actually do some solving ourselves. So the rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Along each indicated diagonal, digits cannot repeat. So this diagonal has to have one of the digits it has to have the digits 1 to 9 once each. And so does this diagonal as well. Now, digits joined by a white dot are consecutive. Digits joined by a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio. Not all dots are given. So these two squares, one of them has to be double the other. In these two squares, they have to be consecutive. So if that was 1, this would have to be 2. If this was 5, this would have to be 4 and or 6. Well, no, not and or 6, or 6. It can't be both 4 and 6. Apologies. The thing about not all dots are given means it's absolutely fine for this relationship to exist elsewhere in the grid. You can have black dot relationships in other dominoes. There doesn't need to be a black dot between between cells that are where one is double the other. It's just we know for certain that in this domino one of the digits is double the other, and we know for certain there one of the digits is double the other, etc. Now, how does this yellowy orange line work? It works as follows. If two digits are adjacent on a line, one of them is a multiple of the other. So, what does that mean? So that means if this is a 4, this cell could be an 8, it could be a 2, or it could be a 1, I think. I think all of those things are possible because it would be true to say that these are in a multiple or factor relationship with any of those possibilities. I think they are the only possibilities if this is a 4, but I might... No, I'm not missing one. It must be 1, 2, or 8 in that cell. So that's how yellow lines work. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And the first thing I'm thinking here, I'm thinking Fistomaphele straight away, because, well, I've been doing enough domino puzzles because we're preparing for the release of Domino Sudoku, our new app, and I know for, well, with a lot of certainty that these black dots and white dots are not enough to be telling me anything about this puzzle. No, there is nothing here, is there? So it must be to do with the yellow line. Now, the first thing I'm wondering about here, therefore... Well, the first thing I'm wondering about is, are there digits that are hard to put on yellow lines? And the answer to that must be yes, because any prime number is very hard to put on a yellow line, because a prime number can only be in a multiple relationship with the digit 1. Because what you can't do, for example, if this was a 5, you can't put 5 in the same row because of Sudoku, although 5 and 5 are in a sort of multiple relationship, I suppose. 5 times... well, is that even true, actually? One of them is a multiple of the other. Well, I suppose, yeah. The multiple would be 1, wouldn't it? 5 times 1 is 5. But anyway, this is all moot, because you can't put 2 of the same digit in the same row or column of a Sudoku. So any prime number... Oh, actually no, I'm slightly wrong here. 3 is weird. 3 is obviously prime, but 3 could go with 6 and or 9. So okay, it's the higher primes that are more difficult. So it's the 5s and the 7s that are more difficult, and that's because we can't use 10s and 14s. So 5 can only be next to 1, and 7 can only be next to 1. But, of course, the thing you will say, and you will be totally within your rights to say it, is on the face of it at least, there don't have to be 5s and 1s on this ring of digits, do there? Except that this is a ring of digits. Right, this is definitely... Wow, I think I know what's going on here. If I do know what's going on, I can tell you without fear of contradiction that 2 years ago Simon would probably never have solved this puzzle. Let me just think about this for a sec. Well, yeah, okay, there's definitely something going on. It's something to do with Fistomaphele. Let me just explore 5s and 1s a little further, though, because if we did know that there was a 5 and or a... Sorry, 5s and 1s, 5s and 7s. If we knew there was a 5 and or a 7 on the yellow ring, where would they go? Well, because they could only go next to 1, they would have to go in a corner, because you couldn't put them there. 5 here, 1, 1 won't work. So if there is a 5 and or a 7 on the yellow ring, it must have 1 next to it like this. Now, here is a question. Here is a statement. I'm going to make a statement, and that statement is that there must be a 5 or a 7 on the yellow ring. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Oh, good grief, right. I definitely know how to start this now. I've just realised this is a black dot. So I'm going to go further. I'm going to tell you that there is, not only is there a 5 or a 7 on the yellow ring, there is a 5 and a 7 on the yellow ring. And this is because of weird Sudoku theories. So it's a combination of Fistomaphele and sort of Potato Head over on Discord, and then somebody else who extended Potato Head's ideas. But there's a lot of weirdities going on here. Now, I apologise, some of you are going to know about these weirdities already, Some of you are not, and if you are not, what I'm about to tell you will blow your mind, probably. So I'm going to make that ring blue. So that my first contention I'm going to tell you is that this blue ring, which is called the Fistomaphele ring, contains 16 digits. And they are the identical 16 digits to those that you'll find in the 2x2 regions in the corners of a Sudoku. And that is true for any Sudoku. And I'll prove that for you in just a second. But I just want to shortcut this because this is such a beautiful idea. There is an extension to the Fistomaphele ring, which is the following. And this I learned from Knight's Move Sudokus, but I think it also applies in diagonal Sudoku. And it says that if you have a Sudoku with diagonal constraints, then if a digit is not on the Fistomaphele ring, i.e. if there is a digit, let's say it's a 9, and it's not on the Fistomaphele ring, then that digit in that puzzle goes in the centre of the grid. Now this is amazing in this puzzle. It's amazing because that's telling us that if 5 or 7 were not on the ring, 5 or 7 would have to go in the central cell. But you can't put 5 and 7 on a black dot because the other digit would have to either be 2.5, 3.5, 10 or 14, and none of those are valid Sudoku entries. So in this puzzle, we know ab initio, if we know these theorems, that there is a 5, I think there's exactly 1 5 and exactly 1 7 on the ring, because they must both be flanked by 1s, and there's no way I can put more than 4 1s on the ring without breaking the rules of Sudoku. So there is... Oh, and that puts 1 in the middle. Oh my god, that puts 1 in the middle. Right. So I think we're going to be able, I think I will be able to prove there's a 1 in the middle of the puzzle. Right, but firstly, for those of you who are not familiar with Fistomaphele, I never like to refer you to other videos. And I apologise to those of you who are very familiar with this. I hope you understand, but I am going to prove Fistomaphele. I will try and do it quickly. The way to prove Fistomaphele is the following. I'm going to highlight some blue cells. Blue cells, blue cells, blue cells. Now, those blue cells I've just highlighted, I can tell you exactly what digits are in those blue cells, because that's the whole of row 3, that's the whole of row 7, that's the whole of box 4, and that's the whole of box 6. So those cells, those 36 cells that are highlighted in blue, are 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now I want you to imagine that you had 36 blank Scrabble tiles in front of you, blue Scrabble tiles, all blank. And I'm going to ask you to write down on those Scrabble tiles the numbers that are found in these blue cells. And that's very easy because we know that there's going to be, overall, there will be 4 digit 1s, because there'll be a 1 in row 3, there'll be a 1 in row 7, there'll be a 1 in box 4, there'll be a 1 in box 6. There'll be 4 digit 2s for the same reason, 4 digit 3s. So we're going to write these numbers on these blank Scrabble tiles and put them in a blue bag. So our blue bag will now contain 36 Scrabble tiles, 4 of which will be a 1, 4 of which will be a 2, 4 of which will be a 3, etc., all the way through to 4 of them being a 9. Now we're going to create a second bag of Scrabble tiles, and these Scrabble tiles are going to be orange. And these Scrabble tiles actually will have exactly the same digits on, because they will represent the whole of column 1, the whole of column 2, the whole of column 8, and the whole of column 9. So each of these columns is a set of the digits 1 to 9. So our 36 orange Scrabble tiles will also contain 4 digit 1s, 4 digit 2s, 4 digit 3s, all the way through to 4 digit 9s. And we're going to write those on our orange Scrabble tiles and put them in an orange bag. And at this point, it's very clear, hopefully if we think about it for a moment, that our 36 Scrabble tiles in each bag are the identical digits, because they are each 4 sets of the digits 1 to 9. Now, let's imagine that we were looking at the finished solution to this puzzle. and let's say that cell there was a 4. Now I want to imagine that we go into our bag of orange Scrabble tiles and into our bag of blue Scrabble tiles, and we find one of the 4s, and we take them out of the bags and we throw them away. What's the effect of that? Well, the effect of that is I've now got 35 tiles left in my blue bag, I've got 35 tiles left in my orange bag, but those 35 tiles still contain exactly the same digits, because they had the same digits when there were 36 of them, and I threw the same tile out of both packs. So once I remove this digit, I don't need to know what this digit is. I can simply say that I'm going to remove these tiles, whatever they happen to be, from both bags, and I will get left with 16 tiles in my blue bag, 16 tiles in my orange bag, and they must be the same by that logic. And that is the proof of the so-called Fistomaphele theorem that I think is the backbone to how we break into this puzzle. And this is so cool, because now watch this. Now watch this. We have a diagonal Sudoku today. So I want us to imagine for a moment that there is a digit in this puzzle that doesn't appear on the blue ring. So if the digit is not on the blue ring, where does it go in box 1, box 3, box 7, box 9? Well, the answer is because it's not on the Fistomaphele ring, it can't be in the 2x2s in the corner, because we know these are the same digits. So in box 1, that digit would have to be in one of those squares. In box 3, it would have to be in one of those squares. In box 9, it would be in one of those, and in box 7, it would be in one of those. So the next question is, where does that digit go on the diagonals? Well, on the positive diagonal, it would have to be in one of these 3 cells in the central box. And on the negative diagonal, it would have to be in one of those 3 cells on the central box. And the only cell that meets both of those criteria is the central cell. So if there is, in a diagonal Sudoku, if there is a digit that is not on the Fistomaphele ring, that digit goes in the middle of the puzzle. And this, I think, it's amazingly beautiful and powerful in this puzzle, because that tells us immediately well, it tells us lots of things. Firstly, there can only be one such digit. We can't be missing loads of digits from the Fistomaphele ring, because the effect of that will be to put loads of different digits in the central cell of this Sudoku, and we cannot have Sudoku cells with multiple personalities. So, there can only be one such digit. And in this puzzle, it has to be a digit that's capable of being on a black dot. So that digit cannot be 5 or 7. And the logic then extends, I think, further, because now we know that on this yellow line, there must be a 5 somewhere, and there must be a 7 somewhere. Well, from the logic we did earlier, again, we know that the 5 or the 7, wherever they live, they have to be in the corners, because if they're not in the corners, you're going to get that sort of thing going on, which won't work. So a 5 in the corner will be flanked by double 1. Now where would if this was the 5, where would the 7 go? Well, it can't go here, because the 7 would be flanked by double 1, and the 1s would clash. And for exactly the same reason, it can't go here. So the 5 and 7 have to be opposite one another in this puzzle. And if they have to be opposite one another, then it's not going to matter. Well, hang on, how are we going to do this? I'm actually going to reset the puzzle. Just remember everything we've said here. So we have a 5 and a 7 opposite each other on this ringy thing in the middle. Let's reset the puzzle and see what that means. So that means either those 2 cells are a 5-7 pair, or these 2 cells are a 5-7 pair in this puzzle. But whichever way that works, you're either going to have 1s in those positions, or you're going to have 1s in those positions. Well, where does the 1 go in the middle box then? It's the same answer. If the 1s are in these 4 cells, there are 4 1s looking at the middle box, and they force a 1 into the centre. If the ones are in these 4 positions, the logic is symmetrical. It forces a 1 into the centre. So there is a 1 in the middle of the puzzle. And we can get that without, just by thinking about these relationships. If there's a 1 in the middle, there's a 2 underneath it because it's on a black dot. And you can't put half into this cell. And I already absolutely love this. So tesseralis, this is beautiful. Now, what do we do now? So now we've got 5, 7 into these cells, which means that, right, okay, here is something it means. It means that because the 5 and the 7 are flanked by 1s, and there are 4 1s on the Fistomaphele ring, the corollary of that is there are 4 1s in the 2x2s in the corners. So each of these 2x2s must now contain a 1. And that means that I don't know what that means actually. Yeah, I do know what this means. Right, it's not really to do with 1s. Well, it is a bit. But there is a 5-7 pair, either here or here. Now, the corollary of that is I've got to put 5s and 7s onto these little hieroglyph signs in the corners of the grid. How can I do that? Because we've just said that where you put a prime number, where you put 5 or 7 on a yellow line, if you put 5 here, what do you have to flank it with? Well, you've got to flank it with 2 1s in the same box of the Sudoku. That will not work. So I don't think you can put 5 and 7 on the hieroglyphs. And if you can't put 5 and 7 on the hieroglyphs, where do you put them in the 2x2s in the corners? And the answer is, I think, these 2 cells, which are the only cells not on yellow lines. And that reveals that the nature of red is 5 and 7-ness, and the nature of blue is something else. Because there's a 5-7 on this diagonal now. That means these 2 cells can't be 5 and 7. So this is 5, 7. These are 1s. And now what do we do? So now we can say that hang on, let me think about this. Here is a small point that's interesting. So now there are no digits that are not on the ring. Because the central digit here is a 1, and 1 is on the Fistomaphele ring, it's not possible for there to be another digit like a 9 that's not on the ring, because we know that a digit that's not on the ring gets transposed into the middle cell using these principles we've learned. But now there can be no other digit than 1 in the middle of the grid. So every digit needs to appear in the ring, which means that we've got to put, well, what are the other hard digits going to be? So 2 is not a hard digit, is it? That can be in an array, in a multiple relationship with all sorts of things: 4s, 8s, 6s, 1s. 3, I think, is this. Oh no, 3. Well, 3 can be with 6 and 9 actually, and 6, 9, and 1. So 3 can be with 6, 9, and 1. 4 can be with everything basically. Well, 4 can be with 2, 8, 1. 5 and 7 we know about. 6 we've talked about. Well, 6 is tricky actually. 6 can go with 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 2, but nothing else. 8 can go with 2 and 4 and 1. 9 can go with... 9 can only go with 3 and 1, I think. Yeah, 9 can only go with 3 and 1. Right, so that's going to be important, isn't it? Because, yes, let's think about the nature of 9. There's going to be a 9 on the ring. I can't make up my mind whether this is orange or yellow. It keeps mutating in my consciousness. Right, but let's imagine this was a 9. If that's a 9, what are these 2 digits?
Well, they have to be the digits that are in a multiple relationship with 9, which are 1 and 3. Well, that's not going to work, because we can't put a fifth 1 on this ring. So that means that the 9 on this ring, I'm assuming there's only one, there might be two, but the 9 on this ring has to go next to a 1 and have a 3 on the other side of it. Now that means that the 9 is either here, 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 or here. Now, right, well, it's not there. Let's just highlight these cells for a moment in, what colour should we use? Purple? Right, there is a 9 in one of the purple cells. It can't be here, that's on a black dot. You can't put 4.5 or 18 into this cell, so that is not a 9. This, well, this would be the jackpot. If this is a 9, the white dot relationship here would force 8 and 7, so that would be very good. If this is a 9, this is not a 9. That's not a 9, because it needs more. Look, these three multiple relationship digits have to be different from one another, and we know that 9 only goes with 1 and 3, so that doesn't work. This is not 9. Well, okay, this is good though. So this means that there is exactly one 9 on the ring. Because if there was more than, well, because if we put a 9 here, you can't put a 9 here. And these are the only two cells that can be 9s. That means there's a 3 here or here. There's a 3 in one of those two. I don't really want to pencil mark that, but that's forced, I think, by this logic. So if this went 1, 9, 3, this cell would be, it would be in a relationship with 3, but it couldn't be a 1 and it couldn't be a 9. So would it have to be a 6? I think it would. So it might be true to say that not only that there's sort of a 9, 3, 6. This could be 9, 3, 6, or this could be 9, 3, 6. Which is quite interesting as well, because if that's true, I think it probably is. I can't think. I've just got a horrible feeling there's some other digit that is capable of being in a multiple relationship with 3 that I'm forgetting. But it's not. I don't think there is. Well, that means there's a 6 in one of those two cells, which I might risk pencil marking because it's obviously on the diagonal here. So there's a 9 in one of these, and a 6 in one of these, and I think a 3 in one of these as well. This black dot can't have 1 or 2 on it, so it's either 4, 8 or 3, 6. That's probably worth notating. Right, okay, and that's... Now what do we do? We shall, this black dot has to be hasn't got a 1 on it, but it could be 2, 4, 3, 6 or 4, 8. Oh, maybe that's impacting here then. So if this, right, what about if that's 4, 8? Does that give this a problem? No, that could be 5, 6, 7 actually. That would still work. If this is 3, if this is 3, 6, that's 7, 8, 9. Oh bother. Okay, so and if it's 2, 4, I think it's got all sorts of options. So perhaps this is not where we look for our next break in. So it must be the ring again then. Let me think about this. Or is it this cell? So this, yeah, this cell is one of those where I've got to have three different possible connectors. So if that's 3, 6, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 would be in these cells. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. And I need... Well, that's impossible, isn't it? That definitely doesn't work. Right, this is not 3, 6. Let me just explain that. If this is 3, 6, these digits down here on this yellow line are from the digits 4, 5, 7, 8 and 9. Which means, but none of these, well, 4 and 8 can be in a multiple relationship, but 5, 7 and 9 can't be in a multiple relationship with any other digit apart from 1. So this is completely unfillable if we're left with 4, 5, 7, 8 and 9. And now the only thing that slightly concerns me there is that if this is 4, 8, we need to check that this actually has a fill, because if this doesn't work either, then I've made a mistake. No, 3, 6 and 9, they are in a multiple relation. Right, I see exactly how this is working. So yes, these digits are from 3, 5, 6, 7 and 9. Well, you can see 3, 6 and 9 are capable of being in multiple relationships. So the 5 and 7 come out, and now we need the 3 to be the glue, if you like, the sandwich. So if we put the 3 in the middle, it can be in a nice multiple relationship with 6 on one side and 9 on the other. If you put 6 in the middle, you've broken it, because the 6 will be very friendly with the 3 wherever the 3 lives, but the 6 and the 9 are not in a multiple relationship. 6 times 2 is 12, it's not 9. So this is a 3, this is a 6, 9 pair. Now that means this is a 6. This is so clever. This is really brilliant. Tesseralis. This is a name we need to remember, because look, how could this be 9 now? 9 we know is only in a multiple relationship with 1 and 3, and that digit would be broken therefore. So that's got to be 6. That's 9, and the 6 escapes with a 2. There we go. So we are... Oh, and this is now not a 6. So that would seem to imply, if my logic about 9s was right, that this is a 9. I think it was right. I'm prepared to back myself with that. So I think this... Oh, and this is huge, because this must therefore go 9, 3, 6, and that's not the exciting thing. The exciting thing is I've now got a 9 on a white dot. So to make this a consecutive sequence, I've got to go 8, 7. And now one of these dots is now 3, 4. I can see that because this 3 is being pushed onto a white dot where it can't accompany 2. So one of these is a 3, 4 pair, which is sort of exciting. Okay. But what about this column then? I need 5s and 7s to complete it. That's not actually that interesting, is it? 7. Oh, yeah, hang on. I know what we do here. I've got all sorts of 5s and 7s looking at box 5, haven't I? So 5... Yeah, oh, right, no. This is a simpler question. Where does 7 go in box 5? It's not there by Sudoku, and it can't be repeat on the diagonals. So 7 goes exactly there. That gives me a 5 at the top of the grid. Now 5 is on a dot. So 5 is in one of these two cells. We know that the 3 is on one of these dots and must go with 4. So one of these is 3, 4, and that means the 5 can't go with 4, so the 5 goes with 6 on a dot. So one of these dots is 5, 6. One of the dots is 3, 4. And therefore these two squares are 8, 9, and now we've got roping. We've got 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. When you get this pattern, we know that the whole thing must rope. That's which means that it means that whatever we get here will have to be mimicked here and here precisely. So that suggests. Hang on a minute. This must be solved now, isn't it? Well, solved might be... Oh, I tell you what, this is not 7, because 7 has to be flanked by double 1 on the line. Maybe we can do it that way. What if this is 9? We know 9 has to be flanked by 3, 1. That's impossible as well, because that's going to clash with the 1. So we've got to have 8 here. So 8, what does 8 get flanked by? 8 gets flanked by... Ones are impossible. 2s and 4s. Well, 2 can't go here, so it must be 2 here. This must be 4. Now... Ooh, well, now this black dot is powerful, because it can't have 1, 2, or 8 on it, so it must be 3, 6, I want to say. I hope that's true. Therefore, these two squares in the middle are a 4, 5 pair. So these two squares are 3 and 6 pair. Yes, and that's making sense with our roping. Look, 2, 3, 6, 2, 3, 6. So this must be 2, 6. And these squares have got to be 1, 4, and 5. So this is all going beautifully now. Now, what about this digit? That digit is a multiple of 6, which means it's either, can't be 1, so it's a 2 or a 3, but we know which it is, because it's got to be also got to be in a relationship with 4 and 8, so it can't be 3. That's a 2. But that doesn't tell us what this is, I don't think. So now what we do is we use the fact this is 6 on this digit. So that's 3, that's 6, that's 4, that's 5. Good grief, this is 5 by Sudoku, this is 4 by Sudoku, this is 6 by Sudoku. And that, well, that's nearly good. I think this is a puzzle that will live long in the memory. It's very, very clever. I also think there's probably a zillion things you can do with this sort of logic that I'm failing to see. Because all of these little hieroglyphics in the corners are presumably quite constrained. Like, I've got to put a 9 on one of them. And that's going to have 1 and 3 as its partners. I'm just wondering if I can get something on the positive diagonal going here. I've got a 5, 7 pair. So I've not put 2. Right, so these squares are from 2, 8, and 9. That can't be 9 by Sudoku. So this is 2 or 8. And that one there is 2, 8, or 9. And if it was 9, this would have to be a 1, 3 pair. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, is there? I'm saying that in a manner that projects the confidence I feel in that conclusion, which is not a great deal. Okay, so what are we missing now? 2 has to be on this little, has to be on the hieroglyphic down here. 2 is by Sudoku. 2 is on this hieroglyphic as well. Oh, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on this one. We have got, okay, we've got 3 2s. Yes, we've got exactly 3 2s on the Fistomaphele ring. So there are exactly 3 2s on the hieroglyphics. And we found 2 of them. So there must be another 2 in one of these. Bother. Okay, now we will be invoking the name of the shop in Lucca, I think. Unless I see something clever in the next couple of seconds, which I'm failing to do. Come on, brain. Right, what are the restricted digits? The restricted digits... Or maybe I've got to think about the negative diagonal. Actually, I haven't really thought about that. I've got 1, 5, 6, and 7. Oh, I know what's... Yeah, right. Let's look at this diagonal. Where does 3 go on it? And the answer is I haven't got a clue. But I can tell you that wherever 3 goes, it's got to be partnering... Oh, this is really clever. It's going to give me this digit. Yeah, because wherever 3 goes on this diagonal, what's its partner on its hieroglyph? Well, it must be 9. Because it can't be 1, 1's in the middle, and it can't be 6. So the only other digit that's available to 3 is 9. That means there's either a 3-9 pair here or a 3-9 pair here. I don't have a good way, I'll use blue, of indicating that. One of the blue things is a 3-9 pair, so this has got to be 8, which means this is 9, which gives me, that's good. Look, I've now got a 6-9 pair in this box, which means these two squares are a 3-7 pair. And now those two down there must be a 5-7 pair, and these must be a 4-8 pair. And that feels like we've learned something about the nature of the world. So one of these is 3-9, and then the 9 we know has to go with 1 on the other side. So hang on, one of these is 3-9. The 9 will be next to a 1, but the 3 needs to be next to another digit that's not 9, and it can't now be 1, so that's going to have to be 6. So, right, so one of these 2x2s is 1, 3, 6, 9. Oh, can it be this one? If 3 and 9s would be... No, okay, I think it can be that one. I'm not sure. 1, 3, 6, 9. Oh, that's it. Right, this doesn't work. How could this hieroglyph be 1, 3, 6, 9? It can't be. Look, 3, 6 and 9 are in those cells in box 4. So we'd have these little 2x2s containing the digits 3, 6 and 9. And so we ask where 3, 6 and 9 would have to go in column 3. And the answer is in those two squares, because they couldn't go here and they can't go in any of these. And that's not going to work. You can't put 3 digits in 2 cells, so this cannot be 1, 3, 6 and 9, which means that the 1, 3, 6 and 9 combination must be here. And we know that the 3 and the 9 are on the diagonal, so the 1 and the 6 aren't, which means that we've got the 1 and the 6 in these 2 cells, and the 3 and the 9 in the... the 3 and the 9 are fixed by the 9 and the 3 there, which means that this is now a 3-9 pair by Sudoku, which means what? It means 9 is in one of those 2 cells, which means that 9 is in one of these 2 cells in row 3, again by Sudoku, so that's not a 9. So now I've got a 2-8 pair. Oh, bobbins. Okay, I could have seen that. I think I could have seen that a different way, because that seems to have existed for a while. Why didn't I see that before? Oh, I know why. It's because I got this 9, isn't it? And I didn't realise it eliminated anything from that cell. Yeah, so this being a 2 or an 8, I think has been available for a little while. Sorry about that, if it's been annoying you. Now this row needs 5s, 7s and 8s to complete it, which is very interesting for where 8 goes in row 7, because it must go here. And that means this is a 2. There we go. So we've got 2 here, 8 here. We get 2 here, 6 here by Sudoku. That's beautiful. 6, 1 here. Now, yes, now the 1s are going to chase around the grid, aren't they? Because this being a 1, we know there's a 1 on this hieroglyph. It's now got to be here. We know there's a 1 on this hieroglyph, which is going to be here. We know that there's a 1 on this hieroglyph, which is going to be here. So now we know that what do we know now? We know that 5, 7 pair in this column, so that's a 4 and that's a 5. So this digit must be known. Oh, 9. 9 must go there by Sudoku using our pencil marks, and this square here has got to be a 3. And now if this square is a 3, this square is a 4 by Sudoku, and that's lovely. 1, 2 and 4 are all in multiplication relationship, so that makes sense. So this is now 4, this is 8. What are these cells? Oh no, where does 8 go in this box? That's an easier question. 8 goes there. So this is a 5 or a 7, which gives me a 5, 7 pair in this column. So I think we might just be on Sudoku now. We need 2 and 4 into these cells at the bottom. This 8 is tidying up some things. 8, 4, 4, 2. Do we know there's a 2 on this one? Yes, we do. 2, 2, 2. It's got to go here, so that's 2, which must mean that this is 2 on this one. So we've now got this hieroglyph filled. We've got a 5, 7 pair here, so this has got to be a something, a 6, I think. Which must mean that this is a something else. Oh, this is 5 or 7. Okay. How are these 5, 7s going to get resolved? We must need 3 and 9 at the top of the grid. Oh, this is getting a bit nerve-wracking now. This is 5, 7 and 8. So 8 in this row goes here. And this is a 5, 7. Oh, that's weird. I thought I saw a 5, 7 pair in this column, but I must be going crazy because it's not there anymore. Oh dear. Okay, well I've got a 5, 7 in this row, so let's use that instead. That's 3, that's 7, that's 3, that's 9, that's 9, that's 6. Okay, and that means these two squares have got to be 4 and 6. Ooh, 4 and 6. I've got to put this on a hieroglyph that works. Okay, well if I can make this work, this is going to be how we disambiguate all of these funny pairs. 1 can go with anything, ignore the 1. The 2, I've got to keep, hang on, the 2 can go with either 4 or 6. And the 6 and 4, and yeah, because of the shape of this hieroglyph, the 4 and 6 are not connected, which of course is necessary. So I've missed something here. What is it? Oh, I know what it is. I've got a 6 here. So that's fixing this as a 4, and this is a 6. So I didn't need the hieroglyph to do it. I just needed to use the diagonal. But this is so good now, because that means that's 6, that's 3, that's 3, that's 9, that's 9, that's 7. The 7 does this as a 5, which does that as a 7, that's 7, and that 5. The 5 does this as a 7, this is a 5, this is a 7, this is a 5. Therefore, that's a 5 by diagonal logic. That's 7, that's 5, that's 4. And that is how to solve 28 minutes? No. Oh, that's because I restarted it. That is how to solve a just mind-blowingly brilliant puzzle by Tesseralis. What a debut. What puzzles we have had this week. It is just amazing. Day after day after day of sort of, brand new, beautiful logic every single time. Thanks so much for watching if you've stayed with me to the end of this video. I know some of the videos recently have been a bit longer than average. I don't know what to tell you about that, other than I don't think I should apologise too much. It's just because these puzzles are so good. They're so good. They need an audience. Yeah, it would be sacrilege really if we said, okay, well we're not gonna showcase puzzles like this because they might take me a bit longer. Because my brain is so rusted up, it can't do them at speed. Anyway, let me know in the comments how you got on with this. I will be very interested to know. I do enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.